over the critics within the country if because they want to preserve some stability in the social and political order. They have to recognize that such a government cannot have a long-term and lasting future in Guyana and must be thinking of alternatives.
Well, a very, I don't know if I can say pleasant afternoon to you all across Guyana, because really it's not pleasant times that we're experiencing. So I don't know how to greet you this afternoon, but to say that we're in troubled times and we need to be prepared to deal with the current situation that are facing us in this country. On this afternoon's program, as usual, I have Professor Clive Thomas and Brother Desmond Trotman. Welcome once again to Walter Rodney Brown.
Thank you, David.
Well, a lot of revelations over the past few weeks have been coming forward, but we have gotten it directly from the horse's mouth. Peter Myers himself would have come forward and would have said that the spy equipment that we've had so much talk about would have been bought by Dr. Ramsamy for the government of Guyana. Now, we've had some protests in the parliament. We expect more protests to be taking place. But what is your take on the continued denial of the PPPC administration and especially Dr. Ramsamy in relation to the testimony of Peter Myers and Selvin Vaughan?
Well, I think Dion is very clear that the denials from Dr. Ramsamy are getting shorter and shorter every day. I mean, I think that the last occasion, if I remember well on the television, he seemed to be wanting to say that he's not going to answer any further questions on the matter, which I think is a very negative development for his position and for the position of the PPPC government. Because the truth of the matter is that Mr. Myers was giving evidence on a matter of fact within the courts of the United States. He was not there making any judgment in the government of Guyana. And he stated as a matter of fact that he did ship the spy equipment to Guyana, to the government of Guyana, that he could only sell them to governments, and that the person who was the official intermediary for this transaction was the Minister of Home Health. Now, I have no reason to doubt him. He had no axe to grind on this particular matter, and I would imagine that since he knows how tremendous are the penalties if he commits perjury in the U.S. court, that he would not go and perjure himself lightly. So I would say that there is every evidence so far that Mr. Myers is speaking the truth, that he did engage in a transaction of that sort. So I don't know why Mr. Ramsamy keeps saying no, 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 no. It's because it's not helping his cause by being so obstinate on the matter. The point which I think comes out of it is that given his status and given the way in which positions develop within the country and which justice is administered, that maybe the best way to go forward is to have some international inquiry on the matter. An inquiry that involves nationals other than nationals of Guyana. I say that because everybody within Guyana will be in some way or other compromised, whether a government person nominated by the government, they say that person is biased in favor of the government. If it's somebody independent, they say they're biased in favor of the opposition. If it's somebody in the opposition, they say, well, naturally they're biased in favor of the opposition. So we have to find expertise that I think from outside the country, and I would hope that maybe CARICOM, the OAS, or even going further afield, the Commonwealth and the United Nations should be the place that we should look for to try to get that expertise. I noticed that the PNC, 1R, has called for an inquiry by Interpol. That is also an important starter because there is still a criminal investigation to be undertaken. But I'm sure that we haven't heard the last of it. The United States government is very meticulous on issues like this. They keep very good records, very good computer tracking of such details, and there's no point lying and trying to deny the existence of matters which will become public sooner or later through the proceedings that are being undertaken now against George C. Mills, who is the former legal attorney defending Roger Kahn.
Brother Trotman, what is your take?
The RNI completely they endorse the position that Professor Thomas has enunciated there. And in doing so, I also want to say that I fully support all of the protest actions that are taking place around this matter. And I would like to call on Guyanese to come out in support of tomorrow's protest action that is being organized by the People's National Congress Reform. I want to take people's minds back to when this situation first occurred, and to remind Guyanese that those of us who had always believed that there was complicity between high government officials and the criminal elements, Roger Khan, the Roger Khan gang, that none of us are surprised by the revelations. I believe what is happening with Mr. Ramsamy, the hysteria that surrounds his attempts to deny what is taking place. I believe that part of the problem there had to do with the fact that he never thought that there would have been a accounting in the courts. And because of that, there were no attempts to cover their tracks. They believe that America is Guyana, and the in-depth investigation which will take place in Guyana, but doesn't take place, which will take place in the United States, that doesn't take place here, will not have touched them. Unfortunately, Roger Khan was held. He had to do a plea bargaining, and in the course of time, one of his chief lieutenants is now an informant, and one of the things that he had agreed to do is to say what he knows in court. He had to say what he knows on the oath, and what he is saying is also supported by the presence of documentary evidence, which makes Ramsamy looks like what he is, a piece of filth. That is what he is. This matter cannot be wished to be. It is a very serious matter. And as more and more the revelations come, we in Guyana will understand the extent to which it is. Those high government officials were involved with Roger Khan, and the involvement with Roger Khan meant that there was identification of persons to be killed, and those persons were killed as an act of collaboration between high government officials and Roger Khan.
Yeah, but I think if I may be allowed to interrupt, beginning, I think way back in 2002, I started a series of articles on the criminalization of the state. They ran for over 34 consecutive weeks. So we can't say that the public was not exposed to some foretaste of what would eventuate. I spoke about the increasing criminalization, the increasing alliance between the organized crime and the cabal that was running the government. And I told you here at the same program that that's a fundamental contradiction that will come back to bury Guyana and to harm this government fatally. We're now seeing the signs of that emerge. The thing is, what we have to learn is the important lesson that every government in power feels is invincible. No government in power feels that it can be changed. When they begin to realize they can be changed, when they begin to realize that they can't control all events, they begin to panic. But there's a period in every government's life when it believes that it is invincible, that they will defy all of history and be able to rule indefinitely. And the PP is no doubt of that view, that they can remain in power indefinitely and throughout time. And I said as long as that cannot happen, and I know it will not happen, they are bound to have to pay the price of that opportunistic alliance. And they'll have to come either to the courts of law or some other point of retribution for what they did to Guyana over that period when they made a strategic alliance with the drug lords. We're beginning to see this now unfolding in the United States, not from the person who's being charged with drugs, but from the lawyer who's defending the drug person, which shows how far this corruption spreads, because they're alleging that he was organizing to kill people or neutralize people on behalf of his client.
Yeah,
Which
but-
means the corruption did not stop with the person who's being charged with the organized crime. It involved even his lawyer. And I'm saying that process also involved government officials in Guyana. And we have to see this as a cancer that is unfolding and consuming all of the body politic of the PC government.
But even before Myers went to testify, if we recollect, Simmels himself was making very strong attempts to have either Myers or the guy that he had sent to train the personnel right here in Guyana,
Chapman.
yeah, go forward and testify in the United States.
Yeah,
And
but you see, if you look at it carefully, Simmel's primary line of defense for his client was that whatever he did,
was for the government.
he did in the name of supporting the government.
Government.
And he did not expect that the government would sabotage him by trying to deny that. They would take action that would bolster the support of that particular position in court. But the government never did. So they have issues to settle with organized crime coming out of that. So whatever is going to happen, it doesn't end here. It will be going on for years to come. On the release of whoever goes to jail, and this will continue to be a matter that haunts the politics of Guyana from now on end to the end.
But you mentioned one thing, because I want the public to get this clear. You did mention that Peter Myers would not testify or lie in court because he wouldn't want to perjure himself.
And the serious penalties.
Serious
He's facing years and years of jail if you go and make and establish a lie in a court of law in the United States. It's not like a traditional Guyanese court. You get off with a slap
A
your
slap
wrist.
your wrist.
But here we have the Minister of Health, mad on television, as mad as he is, saying that, well, look, Kaito News was wrong to say that, to label, to headline their article, Minister of Health, Ramsamy bought spy equipment. You know, he's saying it's an allegation. If it's an allegation, you should say so. It's an allegation, say so. But you can't go and say Ramsamy bought spy equipment.
Yeah, but he's also saying that Myers didn't prove that he bought the spy equipment. But Myers' role in the court was not to prove anything.
that, yeah.
He was just to give a factual statement. Whom what the prosecutor asked him was who bought the equipment. And he said categorically the government of Guyana. Who was the intermediary? Who was the person that arranged to purchase? The Minister of Health, Dr.
Ramsamy.
Leslie Ramsamy. These are two matters of fact which cannot be denied. He may go and claim that I was not the minister then, we meant another Ramsamy. But that should be his defense. But it's not the responsibility of Myers to prove that he ordered the thing. He is stating a factual matter. And I'm sure there will be evidence to show the invoices, who received the equipment, who paid for it, the bank transfers, all the details of the financial transaction connected to this is already in the possession of the United States lawyers and also in the possession of the United States government. Because remember, behind all of this lies the United States government who has been fed all of this information. So when they deal with the government of Guyana, from now on, and they can't pretend as if they're dealing with a government that is a typical Caribbean government with some amount of corruption, but nothing as endemic and as deep-rooted as this link to organized crime that is being unfolded here. You have to realize a different category of criminal engagement involved, which involves this government, and therefore have to treat them in a very different way. No longer can you expect this sort of automatic and blind support that they would give to this government.
Funeral having to go all the way up to Berbice.
But we will attempt to get to the
Definitely.
to the protest sometime during the course of the day.
So we want to send our condolences to Sister Bonita, MT Lowe, and all the other, of course, other relatives and friends of the family. So that's the note that we would like to end on. So We do hope to see you out in numbers. We have to take a stand, and this is the time for that. Well, the time has passed, actually. We've said that before. But we do look out to good support tomorrow, and we look forward to next week's program, when we can really see that positive things are happening in Guyana. Do enjoy the rest of your evening.